I'm Claire Louise and I'm a theatrical wardrobe mistress working in the West End of London. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some of my tips and tricks on how to get the best out of clothing repairs and alterations. In this video I'm going to show you how to reattach a button. Now this shirt button has fallen off, so I'm going to restitch it. I'm going to use white thread just so you can see what I'm doing. Usually I would stitch it in the same colour. So I just need to pull out all the original little threads so there's no chance of them getting caught up. And then I've got a needle pre-threaded with a knot in the end, and I've passed that up from the reverse side, and I'm just going to do a little back stitch on the spot, and this is going to make sure that my button isn't going to fall off. In factories there's no knot at the back, and that's why they all fall off within a couple of weeks. And then I'm taking my button and I'm just sort of holding that in a fixed position with my thumb and my finger there. I'm passing my needle up through one hole and then through the other hole, but not into the fabric yet. And then I'm taking a small little piece of the fabric, creating a loop. And then I'm going to repeat that loop, so up through one hole, across the top of the button, and I'm not moving my left hand position at all, so it's keeping my button really fixed. And I want to do this at least 2 or 3 times, depending on how much wear this garment's going to get. And I'm using a button thread, which is actually a much stronger thread and means I don't need to do quite as many stitches. So now I've done that maybe 4 times. Just to tighten up all my stitches, I'm just going to take my thread and with a little bit of tension I'm wrapping that around. I don't want this button to be too proud, so I've stitched it fairly flat. And now I'm just going to take my needle and pass it underneath. And this is the first time I've turned my garment over. A lot of people try and sew buttons and flip back and forth, but I've just turned it over, and to finish I'm going to do 2 back stitches on the spot, like that. And I'm going to do a 3rd back stitch, but this time I'm going to pass my needle through that loop, which creates a little knot, and make sure that this button's not going to fall off in a hurry. Now that's a flat button, and occasionally, particularly with coats, you may want to sew on a shank. So it's exactly the same thing. I've got a knot, I'm passing the needle up from the reverse to the front. I'm doing a back stitch just to make sure it's secure, and a shank button means it has a little loop underneath, and this is what it holds it proud of the fabric, so it stands away from the fabric, which is why it's great for coats. So again, I'm holding that in a fixed position, my thumb on my forefinger. I pass my needle through, catch a little bit of the fabric underneath, pass my needle through that loop, then catch a little bit of the fabric underneath. And I don't need to worry about taking it all the way through to the other side, it's just catching a little bit of fabric. And again, you want to do this 2 or 3 times. More if it's a coat, maybe 6 times, because it's going to take a lot more wear and tear. And then again, I'm just going to wrap my thread around those loops just underneath. This actually strengthens it, makes it look tidy, and gives it more chance of you seeing it unravelling. And then I pass my needle through to the back, and again I finish with a back stitch or 2, and then a back stitch, and my needle passed through that loop, creating a knot like that. And that's how to reattach a button.